Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri Cardula, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hi, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. And I am so delighted to have our guest, Bryan Kramer, with us today. He is the co-founder of H2H Companies, renowned business performance coach, global keynote speaker, executive trainer, two-time best-selling author, TED speaker, Forbes contributor, and former president and CEO of Silicon Valley Global Marketing Agency. Welcome, Bryan, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for the kind introduction. That's awesome. I appreciate it. And I'm so glad that we can meet up again virtually.
Yeah, I know. We met through another event. And so I wanted to, invite you on and so that we can have this great conversation. We were already talking offline. And we're like, and I kind of give you a disclaimer. I was like, okay, I'm fired up. I'm excited. Let's go. And just be aware that there's some massive energy coming on this way. So, so I want you to introduce yourself as far as, what has been your journey to get you where you're at today and kind of bring our listeners up to speed.
Oh my gosh. I'll try to keep it brief in the journey department. It's been a twists and turns journey. Like most people. So, I don't think that there's a person out there that hasn't faced any kind of journey that's a straight line. It's always, it's like that, the heartbeat when you see the EKG.
Yeah, that's a great
so that's how I describe my journey, except maybe it's not so like, there's more wavy lines in there. But, the most of my journey is around marketing. It's spent my degrees in marketing, my focus, my life is in communication. My actual minor in college was in Japanese because I thought I was going to go into international business, which did not turn out that way. Kind of wish that I had gone to Japan. Never been to Japan. It's on my bucket list still, and I will get to Japan. So that's going to happen.
Okay,
but
I love it.
I ended up going into an agency right out of college. I actually, the way that I actually got into building websites and helping agencies start to build websites, which is when sites were just getting started at that time, is because I failed a paper in my jazz history in college class. I went up and my professor gave me an F on my paper because the source that I used was the website was down. It was gone. And he said, if you can show me where the source was or is, or source something for me, then I'll reverse it. And I'm like, okay. So it was down. So I went to the library, I bought a book or books on HTML. And that night I spent the time learning how to create a new website, and I rewrote it and I turned in a new link and I sent it to him and he gave me a new grade. And I'm like, well, wait a second. If I can do a website, maybe I can create more websites for money. Wow. And then this turned into a thing. And so my communications degree combined with some HTML, which it's not where it is today. So I can't really call myself a programmer, but I did learn how to back then do this mixed media thing. And so that's kind of what I got hired for out of college, which, was kind of like this accidental kind of cool thing.
Yeah.
And so that became my career, was moving into agencies and helping them to migrate into this new interactive realm. My biggest job became, my first boss hired me back, and there were three of us, and And I got to start my own company within a company, and we grew it from 3 people to 75 in an interactive space during the .com, and that was just awesome.
Yeah.
And that was just like they gave me money and a budget and a P&L and just like said, here, go play. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this is so cool. The problem is that when they sold it, I didn't own the company. And so it was like, wait a second,
Hey.
hold on. So
Yeah.
now I wanted to do my own thing where maybe when it did do something, I got to like get some rewards or something like that. So
Yeah. To
I
be a
met
part of
my
that.
wife, and this will shorten, but I met my wife in Washington, D.C. At an advertising conference right around that time. We dated for 2 years long distance she was in Michigan, I was in California. And so then she decided to move to California because that's kind of a better place in terms of weather than Michigan, a lot better
Agreed.
actually. And
Agreed.
so she moved out here, and after 2 years, and then we got married. We started an agency. We had a child all within 2 years and went for it. And it was like hey, why not?
Yeah.
And then 18 years later, our agency was thriving. We had a really cool business. It was doing work with Cisco and MasterCard and Netflix and IBM, and we're doing global work and having fun. Um, and also it created this space for me to go talk and speak and do fun things. One day, my H2H message resonated on stage where I had it up behind me, and the right audience, right time actually projected to them, and they asked me to go back a screen, take a picture, and they took pictures and they put it out onto social media right when social was just new, which isn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And so and it got over 120 million impressions overnight. I
Yeah.
did not plan this. I did not know this was going to happen. This was not
Yeah.
Bryan being a marketer saying like, "Oh my God, I'm going to make this thing go viral."
Yeah.
And then from there, my second book, which was supposed to be my first book, got put on the back burner. And Shareology, How Sharing Empowers the Human Economy, got put on the second book list, and that came out a year later. And then that turned into TED asking me to speak, which turned into another great thing. And here I am. Now the thing is that I was traveling 175 days a year at that point.
Oh,
And
wow.
because I was traveling so much speaking, I was also alone. I was drinking a lot of alcohol, quite honestly, not alcoholic, but drinking a lot because I was on airplanes and hotels.
Yeah.
I was eating a lot of club sandwiches at midnight because that when you get in late and you're hungry,
Yeah.
and you're not eating the best food. So I put on over 65 pounds, which ended up giving me diabetes. And I ended up really living a burned out life. And so I came home one day after a couple of years of doing this, and I said to my wife that I need to stop everything except for our marriage, and just stop. And so she said, I think I do too. And we both decided to exit the agency, and I decided to also stop speaking for a full year and get my life back and grounded and just revived and get to know who I was again and get purpose again and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So we did that. It took 6 months to exit the agency. And then she ended up getting a job at CTI, Coaches Training Institute, as the global head of marketing. And I fell in love with coaching through that program that I took. I became a coach, and I mixed my marketing with my coaching to help coaches be better coaches and grow their businesses. And I have never lived. I got rid of diabetes. I lost 75
Yay.
pounds now, and I'm living my best life. And so it took a lot of pain and crying and all kinds of stuff to get here, but I'm really in a good spot now.
Yeah, well, and I think this is a great message for folks because I think sometimes we get put in these situations and there was a level of success that was happening for you that kind of organically kind of grew over the years, but you found at some point, right? There at some point there was a breaking point. I mean, you'd gone through this phase for 2 years, and then but I mean, what was that moment where if we just kind of snapshot that moment or that time period, that 6 months or whatever, like, what was
Yeah.
that? Because I think that's like the juicy part of, really,
Yeah.
digging deeper. It's just like, this is not serving me. This is not what I signed up for it. But it was so subtle, I'm certain, that it was like, at some point that became the breaking point. So I'd love to share, love you to share a little bit more about that time frame.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly the moment it happened. And it was one of those tearjerker moments that just sent me
Yeah.
into a place where I just knew like this can't keep going. But it started with my doctor telling me that I had diabetes.
Mm,
That was the start of it, where I just went, wow, I let this go. I let myself go, because I
yeah.
it was type 2 diabetes, so that's kind of self-inflicting, although that does run in my family, so it was more prone to happen. Um but the moment that I knew that I needed to do something was the moment that my then 13, 14, 13, 12, no, 11-year-old son then, um, he sat me down and he said, "Dad, do you have time today?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." It was like a Saturday or Sunday, and he said, "Well, we need to have a chat." And I'm like, "Okay." And he said, "Well," we sat down, and he said, "Dad, this is a very serious conversation." Oh, okay. Yeah. And he's never done this before, so I didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I just want to I need to tell you that I think that maybe you're not going to be around for enough time to see my grandchildren, and you're not headed into a good place.
Wow.
And I want you to be. And I think that maybe um, that there are things that you can do to get yourself healthier and be around." And it just,
Talk
yeah,
about, I mean, it just brings up that wants to pull up tears for me. Like, yeah, I mean, isn't that amazing? Like how these little spirited beings, AKA our children, are just so in tune with
yeah,
things that maybe we're not necessarily in tune with. But that's profound, right? It's
yeah,
profound, when your children are coming to you.
yeah,
So that between the combination of that happening, it sounds like in a very short time
yeah,
span, it's like, okay, it's time. It's time to
yeah,
do this.
yeah. It was all within the same year or within the same 6 months. I'm losing track a little bit because it was
Yeah.
a bunch of years ago, but yeah, it was definitely, I'll never forget that moment when he did that. And then that's when I knew. So it was really important to me because everyone is a health nut. Everybody knows a lot about health. And so, if you put something up on the internet or up on social and say, what diet should I choose? You are going to get lots of opinions.
Yeah, yeah,
If you say like which diet you're on, you're going to get a counter diet for every diet. If you're going to
yeah,
get a like, and so the hardest thing to do is to do this because people have every excuse in the world for what not to do. And
yeah,
so I had to learn, and being a social person, like that's where I spent like most of my career, not most, a good portion of my career. I learned to find the right team of people that I trusted, and I trusted no one else.
yeah,
I only listened to just those people and created a circle of trust, to quote Gaylord Fokker,
yeah.
and made that my place. And that
Yeah.
that that was the only thing I could do, and it worked. So yeah, that was a major thing.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like when we look at, I have a client right now that, she's in a very stressful situation and she really doesn't see any way out, right? And what's happening is, I'm starting to see from an outside perspective her spiral. I'm starting to see that her health is going, like she has some pretty significant health issues going on right now. Some pretty eye-opening experiences just recently. And it's like, okay, at some point, we know it's the stress of, the company that she owns, um, or is part owner in, I should say. And it's like, we've had this conversation is like, what is your cost of your happiness? Right? Like, what is the cost of your happiness? And some people would say, well, you've got to, stick it through and you got to do this and you got to do this. And, at some point it's like, what is the cost of your happiness? What is the cost of your health? What is the cost of
Yeah,
your family's, connection that you have with your family? Like, what is the cost that and so it's pretty timely because and I'm hoping that she's listening to this and she'll listen to this. I'm going to maybe forward this over to her because I think it's really important. So, because I mean, when you're looking at that time frame, I mean, like, you're weighing all this other stuff because I'm assuming that you got accustomed to a certain lifestyle, a certain way of living, a certain way of doing things. And when you're saying, "I'm doing this," and now there was a 6 months transition, but I'm guessing that that wasn't necessarily the easiest thing for you to do.
Oh my God. It was like getting rid of our baby, because
Yeah,
we had grown this, at the time we were, at our height, we were 30 employees. Um, and we had to transition out of all that. We had to take care of everybody first and foremost to make sure everybody was going to be okay. We
yeah,
actually had to put ourselves into a place where, all the clients were going to get done, all the projects were going to get done, all the, everything was going to be okay. So, and everything was going to get transferred over. And, yeah, it was a lot of work to get out of, 18 years of history. It's like a marriage ending, and so, there's a ton of work to be done. And also, also there's a physical part, because we, back at that point we had 6,000 or more, physical space, and so we had furniture, and it was
yeah,
just, it was really, really mind scrambling to get that done. I mean, when we made that decision to do it, I don't think we quite knew what we actually did.
yeah,
And I'm really glad we did it. I'm really glad we did it. Like, it's like we are, and I do miss, there's a lot of things I do miss, don't get me wrong. I mean, having that kind of team and having creativity around us and having
yeah,
and creating and doing things at the agency that we did. Like, there were some pretty profound times when we did, like, we won amazing things, did amazing things. I mean, there are magical moments there that I just will never have because of the nature of what that was about.
yeah,
But this here is the life I want and deserve. And we're
yeah,
living a better life. We are. I mean, in wealth, and I don't mean money, but that too.
yeah,
The overhead there and the overhead here is totally different when you think about it. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not an HR person anymore. I was an HR person there. I was
yeah,
an accountant there. I was in accounting. I was HR. I wasn't doing marketing there. I
yeah,
was I was I was doing the roles I never got into marketing to do. And
yeah,
so now I get to actually work with people and help them, where there I wasn't doing the role that I thought I was going to get to do because I had built a company, become an entrepreneur, and then a business owner. And when
yeah,
you think that you're going to get into business to grow it and to become this empire, to eventually be this thing, it comes with a price. And that
yeah,
price tag is bigger than you think it is. You may not get to do the thing you first started to love, to want to do. And
yeah,
so I wanted to go back into being and doing and loving the thing I wanted to do. And that doesn't mean that you can't still make the money or do the things or live the joy or live the passion of what you want to do. We're still doing all those things, and we're
yeah,
doing it even at a greater level than we did. The thing I'd miss the most is probably a team, maybe,
yeah,
but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I have a
yeah.
team, but they're just not here physically. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a beautiful statement because I think sometimes, I also have a large company that is owner independent, so I can understand where you come from because you go into it, you have this certain skill set, you grow the business, you become the overarching CEO and the owner of it, and it's just different roles and it's different, so I have that aspect of it, but I also have another company where it's me and a small team. I think there's 5 of us. So but it's a different feel, versus the bigger company and the responsibilities that go there. So, but I love the message that you're saying is that, you're happier, you're healthier, you're more fit, you have more time, you have, everything else, you know, you're still doing life, and it sounds like from what I'm hearing from you, it's better in a lot of aspects. Those magic moments that you had that are with you forever. Like, meaning that's part of your legacy, right? Like, that's part of what you guys created and the impact that you had in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, that'll carry forever. And that's a good point, what you just said. Everybody has to do what's unique and works for them.
Yeah,
And each person is built differently, and we all have our own kind of, I guess, life design, if you will. And each person has to grow the way that they're built. And and I am happy for that, what you just said, those experiences that I had, because those experiences are the experiences that I now get to bring into what it
Yeah.
is that I help other people do. And when they want to grow that way, and when
Yeah.
I start to see burnout, or I start to see what those little nuances are, where that's going to
Yeah.
lead, I can help them see that. I can help them see that kind of growth and have that and speed that up, but also hold that back and make sure that that's not going to have, create that kind of level of, because you don't want to typically grow fast sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes that speed can really hurt you too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a beautiful piece of saying, like, you know, I don't know about you if you resonate with this, but I feel like when I grew that company, that was almost in some ways a stepping stone for me to do some other things that I wanted to do. And I am grateful for that experience. I'm grateful for that growth and I'm grateful for that piece. But I realized that was just part of my journey, right? It was just part of where I'm, I feel very called to go to, and so I don't know if you've shared that experience of like, oh, this is, like maybe this had to happen the way it did to get me to
Yeah.
the clarity, to get me to the awareness, to get me to the understanding of what really matters or what I'm really passionate about or whatever I'm, and in a lot of ways you were showing the contrast, right? Like, oh, this is this way and this is okay. Like, and we were shown that contrast. A lot of times we can make choices based on that, right? And it just kind of helped lead us back to our path, right?
Oh, so true. I totally agree with that. There's no way I could disagree with that. It's, and when you see the signs and you see like your heart being tugged in that direction, and you dismiss it, and you're like, well, where I'm at is safe. And this
Yeah.
is just, this is safe and this is good for me. And I'm just going to remain here.
Yeah.
Um, that's the choice point that I think is, often missed. And the reach point, that choice point where you can try something new, and that fear that exists, and that's what it is. It's fear that lives in us that doesn't allow us to, try something new, to dip our toe in the water and say, I'm going to try this, and if I fail, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because and there are ways that you can try things without failing across the board, and having everything fall apart. You can make those decisions and still try something new without even burning yourself out. And so, you just need to, you get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody around you that can help spot those blind spots in you, that help you to do that help you to see that clearly. Because if you're not making those little reach points, if you're not like dipping your toe in the water enough, then
Yeah.
you are staying safe. And if you're staying safe, well, there's no growth. And if you're not growing, well, then you're not built for what humans are built for, because we're built for growth. That's what we're built for.
That's brilliant.
Welcome to being human. That's
Yeah.
if we're not growing, we're not being human.
I love that. What a brilliant way to kind of wrap this up today. Like he's gonna leave with a power punch right here, ladies and gentlemen. But brilliant. And I agree with you. I agree with you. Like we are humans to be here to expand and to evolve, right? And so if you're not taking those steps outside that comfort zone, we are not evolving, and we're not experiencing life to its fullest, I believe. So it's such a delight to have you on the show today. So where can people find more about you today?
Easy. It's at bryankramer.com. Bryan with a Y, Kramer with a K. And that's where everything's at. All of my stuff. You can also reach out to me. You can sign up for my newsletter, which I actually, in true human to human style, actually reply back to. And then you can reply back to, and then I'll reply back to, and then you reply back to, and then before you know it, we're actually talking like humans and we're having a discussion. And so I love spending time on my newsletter, actually talking with people. And so that's fun, but everything's there. All my social connections, all the stuff.
Fantastic. And I can verify and vouch that is very true. Like I think I reached out to you via one of the social media outlets. And yes, we were able to connect, and it is true. So something that doesn't happen very often. And so thank you for being the leader in that, that human to human connection. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your wisdom and your nuggets that you shared with us. And I look forward to connecting with you further.
Oh, Teri, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to doing more of this with you and co-creating and just
I
having so
love
much
it.
fun. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's do it. All right. Talk to you soon. I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.